All right, Shalom. Giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Baha Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Baha Hashem, Rachak, Wadash, the honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. All right, we're going to get into another AI chat. Now, we always go into 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay? Ignorant means to not know. All right, that word or the name Satan in the Hebrew is Shaitan. I believe in that scripture, in that particular scripture in the New Testament, it says Satanas. All right, but he is the deceiver. Okay, he's a calumniator, a false accuser. All right, and to get advantage of us for us to be ignorant. Ignorant means to not know. All right, what his devices, and that's what we're about to talk about. Okay, so this video is a video that I took some time out to watch yesterday. Yep. And it says, well, hold on, because this is, that's why I say my little AI videos. I have a whole playlist, because, we often do these. What am I looking for? Okay, the X. Yeah, so that's the whole title there. Life under China's social credit system, a dystopian reality. As a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's define dystopia or dystopian. Define. Okay, what I say, dystopia. What means dystopia? There you go, right there. All right. A dystopia is an imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice. Does this ring a bell? All right. The enterprise Esau is looking forward to put the Fastendas Revolution. Okay. This new world order. All right. Where there's the 1%, which are those the banker families, the household of Esau, right? The bankers. Okay. And then there's everyone else. All right. No more middle class. All right. Or upper middle class or whatever. I guess, what you call rich or I don't know, poor. Everybody's one class or two classes, really, because everybody else is one class. But then that 1% are the rich and the wealthy, which are those bankers and their closest family members and relatives, because they don't really care about their own people. All right. So, and this is beautiful. It says, an imagined state or society in which there is great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. Wow, post-apocalyptic actually says that. Let me grab this word here. I'm not sure if we'll talk about it down below, but I'll copy it and we'll paste it down. After we read this, it says it is the opposite of a utopia, an ideally perfect place. Okay, which the true utopia was what the Lord deemed to be so through Yahushua and the other Elohim, all right, which was known as paradise, all right, Aidan, okay, paradise, which was the earth at one point, okay. Even further down in history, we're talking about after the Great Flood, a long time down after history, where you're going to talking about, the Americas, okay. Before Esau got here, all right, there were a lot of different, of course there were still resources here, but in abundance. All right. You had these, like the Issachar was over here with an abundance of gold and stuff like that. All right. Other islands and other territories where it has certain, things that were, resources. And Esau came over here and saw that. Main thing he saw was the gold, but then he saw the other resources that he can take. And he came over here, all right, to slaughter our people, which that all fits into prophecy, but I'm just making a point. So even America was a beautiful place before Esau came. Okay. It is the opposite of, I think there's a scripture in, let me see. Or a similar scripture somewhat in Joel 2, because it talks about the missiles and says something about the land was like, let me see if I can find that real quick. I think I'm in the ballpark somewhere. It speaks about the land was like the Garden of Eden before them. What I say, Joel 2, because it speaks about the nuclear missiles. Because ultimately it's going to destroy Babylon the Great. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, right here. Yep. See? Let's get Joel 2 and 3. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. It's speaking of the nuclear missiles, and I wanted to go into this word Eden here, which we could went to Genesis, but I thought about the scripture, so yep, the why they have a shot. See, Aidan, and it says here, pleasure, all right? I forget exactly how it comes up. There's somewhere where you can, it'll say paradise. I don't think it's here. I believe you got to go to the Google, but same difference, man. Okay, pleasure, paradise. Okay, where basically where Adam lived. All right, Adam and the Adamites. All right, they lived in paradise. Okay, which Adam was more than likely at Jerusalem. Okay, when he lived on the earth, because the civilization did not start in no doggone Africa. The cradle of civilization, it didn't start in no Africa. The pleasant land is not in Africa, right? It is in Asia, okay, on that western, near the Mediterranean coast, okay. But yeah, because a lot of our people like to hang to Africa or Pan Africanism, all that stuff. I can't remember, like Cometicism or all these different things. It's obviously because they basically they like to hang on to Africa, all right. But the Garden of Eden was not in Africa, okay. It was most definitely not in Africa. It was north. What we're going that way, northeast of there, okay. So yeah, pleasure. Let's see what else it says here. Luxury, dainty, delight, finery. Okay. Nephews. Luxuriate, to delight in oneself. So you get the point, because we're not going to go into the whole Garden of Eden topic. Just I was thinking about that, because as we were mentioning what we were mentioning here. Yeah, get rid of that. So yeah, but this is Esau's idea. And I said it the other day, right? The Esau's idea of a perfect place is actually ruling in wickedness and unrighteousness. Him being on top and everybody else being hungry and starving for him to come and serve all their needs for everything that people need. Okay. It is the opposite of a utopia, an ideally perfect place, and is often used in literature as a cautionary tale to critique real-world social and political issues. And by the way, just to give you a heads up, I don't know how long we're going to be here because we're going to watch this whole video. It's like an hour long. I may turn it up a couple ticks, but not too fast, just to get through it quicker. But, I'm not going to put a time limit on this one because I really want to talk about this video. Most importantly, not just because of the system there in China, but some of the things that are mentioned there, and because it's in line with what's going to happen eventually in Babylon the Great. All right. So, if you got the time, tune in. If not, break it up, or, whatever the case may be. So, key characteristics of a dystopian society. Dystopian societies, which can be controlled by a government, corporation, technology, or philosophical, religious ideology, generally share the following characteristics: propaganda and control. Information and independent thought are restricted or censored, and propaganda is not used to control the citizens. Surveillance. See, that's a major thing we're that's gonna be talked about in this video. Surveillance. There's a couple things I thought was funny too. Citizens are perceived to be under constant surveillance by the ruling power, leading to a climate of fear and public mistrust. Lack of individualism. Conformity to uniform expectations is enforced, and individuality or dissent is considered bad or dangerous. While dehumanization. Individuals are often stripped of their humanity and treated as resource or cogs in a machine for the greater good. There you go. See, because we talked about that the other day. Like from the Matrix movies, the machines made the people batteries. Okay, well, the machine city just represents Esau. Okay, those agents. All right, all the stuff like that. They're pretty much representing Esau. Okay, the system. All right, and the machines were using the people for what? As I said in the movie, batteries. And that's what the elites want in real life. Okay, to just use you as cattle. They see you as nothing more than slaves to them, nobodies, even their own people. Okay, so what more you Israelites? What do you think they think about you? Illusion of perfection. The society often presents a facade of being a perfect utopia, but the underlying reality reveals deep flaws. Wow, light it up, light it up. There you go. Reveals deep flaws, oppression, and misery. What does Scripture say? Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. Environmental degradation. The natural world is often damaged, banished, or distrusted, with scarcity of resources being a common issue. All right, and we're not getting to all this. Examples in literature and film: 1984, George Orwell. That's been talked about so many times. Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. That's been heard about since, man, we were younger. Well, I thought we were younger. I was younger, but I never actually read that book. Wow, The Handmaid's Tale, and then it actually says The Hunger Games. That's very interesting that that's there. Okay, so we had something else. I'm gonna paste this here. What happened to it? Okay, here it is. Totalitarian. Totalitarianism is a political system in which the state recognizes no limits to its authority. Wow, see? And that, look, the key word being what? Total, right? Total. Okay, total. See? I mean, pretty much the sum of or all right? No limits to its authority and seeks to control. That's another key word: control every aspect of public and private life. And how are they going to achieve that? Through their digital device. Everybody has a digital ID, and issued through microchips and mass surveillance. Things like Palantir, which lines up with the social credit score system. All right, in a sense, because both of these things breed forth mass surveillance. All right. Let's see where we stopped at. Okay, yep, seeks to control every aspect of public and private life. It is an extreme form of authoritarianism where the government attempts to totally shape society and its citizens' values, beliefs, and actions through an official, all-encompassing ideology. Totalitarian regimes are defined by several core characteristics: single party rule and dictatorship. Power is concentrated in a single leader or a single political party that does not tolerate opposition and holds absolute, unchecked. Well, that's beautiful, because when we go into this video, you're going to see that. All right, unchecked authority, total control. That's what they want. That's what it's about. The government regulates not just political matters, but also the economy, education, art. Wow, because there's a dude that was in there I think it's somewhere near to N, some dude that does art and stuff like that. He got thrown in jail. Well, okay, so I'm ready to get to the video now. Science and the private morality of its citizens. Official ideology. The state promotes a comprehensive guiding ideology to justify its actions and demands the population's unquestioning loyalty and uncritical support. State-controlled media and censorship. All forms of mass communication are controlled by the government, which uses propaganda to promote its agenda and censors any dissenting opinions or alternative viewpoints. Surveillance and terror. Extensive surveillance, including secret police operations that function outside the constraint of law, is used to monitor citizens, instill fear, and eliminate dissent. Suppression of individual freedom. Individual liberties such as freedom of speech, assembly, and the press are severely restricted or non-existent. I forget whatchamacallit that is in the so-called Constitution. All right, but yeah, they speak about freedom of speech and right to the redress of grievances and stuff like that. Okay, those things are going to be taken away from the American citizens. And this is why Esau's doing everything he's doing to do away with your rights. Okay, and then usher in what he deems is right or wrong according to him, whatever is according to him. Mobilization and of the masses. The state often mobilizes the population in mass rallies or campaigns to pursue national goals and reinforce a sense of collective purpose against perceived enemies, both internal and external. All right, so we're not getting to those examples. All right, so with that said, I'm not going to hold off anymore. I'll leave this here in case we want to come back and talk some more about that. Let's get into this video. Hopefully it takes us back. I figure that much. Give me a second. I'll pull it back up. All right, so let me play the video.
Will you go straight to jail the moment you use your gun in self-defense?
So once again, that title was Life Under China's Social Credit System, a Dystopian Reality. Okay, and this is the system that's basically going to come to America. And I'll put the captions on. Maybe we can use them.
Morning.
You're filming all the time.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Let's have a look at your points. How many have you got?
The same. It doesn't change every day.
How many do you want?
Don't know. I'm not at the maximum.
So they're basically having a look at her social credit score. Which in this video, obviously, this guy's probably moved to, I guess, somewhere in China, and that's his wife. So, because he keeps talking about his wife's social credit score, but he never mentioned his. So I'm not sure exactly what his situation is, but a lot of things are pretty much, which, you know, it actually makes her the somewhat of a leader in this particular relationship, because everything's based on social credit score, and both of them need it, but everything's always done through her, which you'll notice that in the video. So because he never mentions his own. All right. But that's her husband, supposedly, with the camera. All right. Recording.
Possible?
I don't know.
What are we going to do today?
Go shopping.
My name's Sebastian, and I'm French. Lulu is my wife, and she's Chinese. We live in Beijing.
See.
Let's film ourselves for a year. Is that okay with you?
Don't I get a private life?
We don't have one anyway.
Shut up.
Shutting up in China is more than a habit. It's a survival technique. I don't think there are any spy cameras in my own home, but there are plenty of reasons to be paranoid.
See, it says my wife has social credit. It doesn't mention him, but, you know.
Have you got the keys?
No, you take them. Welcome to our apartment in North Beijing, outside the 4th Orbital Road. This is where I live with Lulu. I've been a journalist in China since 2007. We live an ordinary life as a married couple, except for one detail. We're never really alone. On our landing or in the lift, they're everywhere.
They're referring to all these little digital signs, all right, you know, stuff like that, which these probably have even cameras inside of them, okay? And it's just all speaking to mass surveillance.
China has at least one surveillance camera for every 2 inhabitants.
See?
Electronic eyes which are always watching us. Today, Lulu wants to show me the city council's latest idea. Is that what you wanted to show me? That screen?
If you cross when the light's red, either in a car or walking, you get displayed on the screen.
And what's the point of that?
To show everyone you broke the rules. Maybe later on you'll lose points.
Yeah. A big screen up there that shows people who are, you know, which in this particular scenario, it's, you know, traffic, all right? Cars that break the traffic rules, people that break the, you know, the crossing, you know, traffic rules, because, you know, you have these buttons that you push, and, you know, they have the walk, the wait, the countdown, all this kind of stuff. All right, so all these different things, and they'll displays you up there on the screen when she speaks about that. All right.
We won't cross on red then. The cars don't care, though.
Yes, it's for everyone. They'll be displayed as well. It's not just for the pedestrians, it's for everyone.
See?
You see that girl crossing?
What do you think of this system?
It's to make people follow the rules, to stop them doing stupid things.
This is to make people follow the rules and stop them from doing stupid things. Which here's the thing about that. Like when you look at it, okay, from a particular lens, you know, with the system, you look at it like, man, this is kind of a little perfect system here. But then when you go into the scriptures and you look at things according to righteousness, and you realize this is nothing more than basically control over the people. All right. So it's actually a wicked system. OK, but that's what blinds the people. All right. Because this chick here, Lulu. All right. As she goes throughout this video, she's going to try her best to do everything right and nothing wrong. OK, so like I was saying, like when you look at it from just a normal people angle, it's like, well, OK, the system, it does right. Keep people in line and all that kind of stuff. But that's not how the Lord intended things to be. He intended to have, a free world of the people, not meaning you just do whatever you want. Of course not, because we were given the law, statutes, commandments. And even more so, right, when the kingdom is established, he's going to establish the law, statutes, commandments for all the earth, okay? So it's not just like a free will type of thing, but, the Lord set certain, standards and whatnot, okay? But in other words, what I'm saying is he didn't mean for people to be controlled and monitored, in this manner, all right? Ain't going to be need for a bunch of cameras, okay, all over, the kingdom, okay, when it's established, all right? That's Esau's thing.
It's a bit like being treated like children.
She's talking about the surveillance, like being treated like children.
$23 million children in Beijing, 1.4 billion in China as a whole. Children like my wife earn or lose points, are punished or rewarded, depending on their behavior.
That's how you call them children, right?
An entire population under surveillance. Cameras in the street, mobile phone apps, insurance files, police records, bank statements, medical records. In China, all the data are instantly digitized. Smart cities, which supposedly use 5G and big data to improve citizens' lives, are in fact huge surveillance networks. Taking the metro, buying food, buying a book. All these everyday acts are archived by the great digital harvester. The harvesting is done by the regime, which collates all the data to build a digital portrait of each citizen. All the Chinese now have a digital double, which lives its life in Beijing's computer servers.
See, everybody has a digital double, okay? Basically, their identity, okay, their physical person, personal identity is now digitized, okay? And they're going to speak about this, what is it, Alipay, okay? Because Alipay is going to pretty much be connected to everything, all right, as we go on. And you'll see, and then they have the, the QR codes and things of that nature. So all these things are interconnected, and you're pretty much not able to operate without these things. Okay. And then you have restrictions and other things of that nature. So it keeps the people in line, but it's really just control over them.
Please spend a night with my daughter. She is
A double which is marked, appraised, and judged by the party's computers. To the citizens, it's like a game or a loyalty program. Their loyalty earns them points. Bad marks damage their credit. Such is my wife's.
Their loyalty earns them points. Bad marks, jacks up their credit. Those are called incentives, or at least the positive side. All right. The positive side of things is called incentives. Okay. If you do this and do this and do that, your score will go up. But if you do this and do this and do that we don't like, okay, then your score may go down. And it's not like an immediate thing, because some things are minor. But if you do it enough times, all right, it will affect your score.
Day to day. Lulu citizens are faced with this overseer judging every hour, every second of their lives.
There's video surveillance everywhere.
My wife isn't a journalist. She works in marketing. To make sense of the impact this technological and social revolution has had on her life, I decided to film her daily routine.
The day's just beginning, and you can't live without a phone. It's already begun.
The day is just beginning, and you can't live without a phone. And that's going to scream louder and louder as we watch the video. But I'm going to make the quick point of, the fact that if they can't operate in this, Chinese world without their cell phones, what's the next level of that? Okay, it's the micro C-HIP, which they'll easily be ushered into, because if they're already operating under that system and you have to have your cell phone, you got to have this app and this, you got to scan these codes and stuff like that. What's the next level? If they're already okay and following the rules of just everything operated in under this system, what more when the C-HIP comes? Okay, they'll walk right into it because they'll have no choice. All right, and you see all these people in China. What do you say? 24 million, something like that. You call them children. So it's going to be 24 million Chinese people who are going to gladly just, go into the, all right. My dad. Okay. I get it. Pops. What was I saying? 24 million Chinese people who are just going to gladly take the C-HIP, because this is basically a lower level of that already. Them being controlled, all right, with the total control, right? Okay. Them total control. Okay. Nephews. I didn't even see them. Well, one of them, I guess the other was at practice. Yep. So yeah, let me play this video.
I have to order a car. Hello.
More than anywhere else in the world, in China, life is impossible without a mobile phone.
See?
The country has over 1 billion subscribers. And nothing escapes the apps that Lulu's installed on her smartphone.
Nothing escapes the app that's on her smartphone.
What do you see on the app? His name, the number of trips.
You see his name, his car, the make, the color,
and she's talking about the taxi
the
guy
number plate,
that's driving
the
right
number
now.
of trips he's made, how long he's had his license.
And that's all personal information. Like you call a taxi cab in America, none of those things come up. Okay, if anything, it's your location and your destination. All right, and they'll have one dispatch as soon as possible. Someone's in the area, someone's free, whatever the case may be. But they have pretty much a history of a taxi driver. Okay, that's super low level, but yet they have a whole history of a taxi driver.
Everything.
So far, so ordinary. Except that here, the entire journey is filmed and recorded by the little camera over the rear view mirror.
And real quick, because a lot of times, like when you think about, someone's driving history and all those different things, those are things that are usually kept by like insurance companies. Okay. So it's not like openly readily available. But if you call a taxi, you can access this information without an insurance company.
The rest is exactly like the system we've all come to know. We give the driver a mark, and he does the same for us. In China, marking has become the norm, as it has across the planet. You hand out points for every online order, every train journey or flight you take. And you do so with your thumb on social media. Evaluation.
So it's almost like trading. Like I don't know exactly how to explain it. Okay, but it's all everything links back and centered around the social credit score system,
which establish a person's popularity or a company's reliability.
See?
I was making so much money with DoorDash. I wanted to earn money in my free time, but I didn't want to go out and get a boring 9 to 5. That's when I found out how much
reliability. But on Planet China, all these interactions, All these likes become so much data, all of which is cross-referenced and locked away in a digital safe to which the government has the key.
See? A digital safe in which the government
Activity on
has the
social
key.
media, but also purchases, travel, and conversations. Private lives stored in a code installed by each Chinese citizen on his or her mobile phone. The COVID-19 epidemic gave the government the chance to add this extra tool to its already substantial data harvesting apparatus. The QR code. Its official objective? To track people's movements and contacts in order to fight the spread of the virus.
Here it is right here, the QR code.
QR codes are used everywhere. Going to the hairdressers.
Check this out.
Use your phone to scan.
Oh, I have to scan.
The one in the middle.
See, everywhere they go, they have to scan in a QR code into their phone. Their phone is equipped with the app. I believe it's the Alipay app. Alipay app is equipped with all the surveillance for, that leads back to the social credit scoring system. So everywhere they go, they have to scan these QR codes, man.
With WeChat,
Shopping, going to the restaurant. Every building we enter, every person we come into contact with, the QR code knows everything we've done.
See? That's surveillance. That's data collection. Everywhere you go, you have to scan a QR code. It's basically you checking in. All right. Everywhere you go, you're checking in by way of the QR code. The QR code comes into your phone. Everything else is inside your device already. The data is collected and stored away. What it said a second ago. All right. A digital locker, whatever he said, and which the government has the key to. You see? So imagine that system being here in America. OK.
In China, this snitch is installed inside the very applications without which life is impossible.
See, without which life is impossible.
Alipay, a payment app comparable to Apple Pay, and developed by Alibaba, Amazon's Chinese rival. Taobao, Lulu's favorite online shopping site. And not forgetting the group Tencent, the developer of WeChat.
Which I haven't heard of Tencent before. Tencent actually makes mobile games, pretty good mobile games too. But yeah, so it's interesting to see them there. All right. But anyways.
The Swiss Army knife of the digital world with which you can chat, pay, and scan a go-go. A sort of multitasking WhatsApp.
So a multitasking app.
All these apps put out there by the Chinese tech giants are gobbling up personal data, which directly feeds the party's ever-vigilant surveillance system.
See? Everywhere you go, you have to scan the code.
I go to meet data analyst Feng Xiuan in a very trendy neighborhood of Beijing. He confirms that the pandemic did indeed accelerate the data harvesting system, doing so directly by means of the apps installed on mobile phones.
Let's compare the health code system to a cake. At first, the engineers and inventors of the tech companies, such as Alibaba and Tencent, came up with the recipe for the cake, and they showed this to the government. Only government departments have the right to request the personal data stored, for example, by airlines, railway, or telephone companies, data which they can use under certain conditions. This is how the government sources the ingredients for the cake. But in order to mix the ingredients together and bake the cake, only the tech companies have the capacity to do this. The government isn't a baker. Next, we can see that the government has the right to ask online payment platforms for details of transactions, also under certain conditions. The question is how to find a balance between protecting personal data and what the government is permitted to do. This is something the whole world is arguing about right now.
But it's not a new debate. Already in the late 1980s, China was opening up to a market economy. It started to use data to control the people. country was waking up to fried chicken, Ferraris, and money. Lots of money. But that faint tune of freedom was soon muted by the party. Mao's grandchildren wouldn't be any freer. They'd just be rich. In exchange for access to consumer goods, nothing about the lives of the Chinese could henceforth be kept secret from the party. Beijing would regulate the flow of money in its own way, controlling consumption and thereby the citizens. My wife Lulu is a child of the great consumerism boom and of the mobile phone. She's one of those Chinese who buy, spend.
Yes, I don't know what the heck she was doing, but she was basically, if you look closely, she was trying out the lipstick before buying it, but using the digital thing. Because I didn't know what the heck she was doing. All right.
Plan holidays and dream of retiring.
And then she purchased. All right. So
the sun. Ever since the People's Court of Commerce started selling off the revolution, her generation has been enjoying the boom. It was this hunger to consume that brought about the Chinese financial credit system in the 1980s. But first of all, Beijing wanted to understand the strange mechanics of the market economy and familiarize itself with the notion of credit.
Your cravings are calling. They say Domino's specialty pizzas are just $9.99 each when you mix and match. You gonna answer that or?
Xin Dai, a law professor at Beijing's Tsinghua University, the most prestigious university in the country, explains how this happened. As in the old cliche, China just went ahead and copied what we do best in the West. The ancestor of Chinese social credit was made in the USA.
Yeah. The story went is some senior official paid a visit to the U.S., right? And then so apparently he was trying to find out, okay, look, why supposedly there weren't as many frauds in the U.S. markets as compared with China's, right? So what's really the difference? So one difference he apparently realized, or at least somebody told him or he discovered, was that the U.S. has something called credit system, right? So credit reporting, credit rating, right? So because if you committed fraud, once or in one transaction, and that would become recorded into your credit profile, credit record, and then if you have that negative entry, that might actually make it very hard for you to get into future transactions or be trusted as a trustworthy business account.
And obviously they do that already when you come to like say you want to go and get a loan from a bank or just a lower level of like from a loan company, loan shark, right? And it's basically based on your credit. Okay, so it's the same credit score system but taken to a higher digital level. Okay.
Party in the future.
The party saw in these financial regulation mechanisms the potential for a much more all-encompassing system of control. What if one could establish a score based on the solvency and habits of the consumer?
A score based on the habits of the consumer. Okay, this is why they need all the data collection, right? What people are doing, where they're going, where they're buying, all these different things, you see?
Thus was born the idea of social credit, marking citizens on their purchasing behavior. A system of good and bad marks to achieve the ideal of a harmoniously integrated society. A program spelled out in the 5-year plan and revealed to the public by the Chinese government in this document in 2014. The social credit system is an important element of the socialist market economy system and of the social governance system. Encouragements for loyalty and constraints for untrustworthiness are used as rewards and punishments. The accelerated construction of a social credit system is an important basis for the total implementation of the concept of technological development and the establishment of a harmonious socialist society. A system in which information about your finances is cross-referenced with your civic behavior. Marks are given, creating a new social order with first, second, third, and fourth-class citizens.
The idea is if you accrue points, the more points you have, you might use these points to have some sort of like preferential access to certain kind of public services. For example, you might go to the public hospitals without paying a deposit when you see a doctor. You might be able to go to certain public parks without paying entrance fee. You might be.
This all goes back to those incentives, right? If you're doing well, there are certain things that you don't have to worry about that others have to worry about with a lower, credit score, social credit score, and so on and so forth.
Able to get discount fares when you use public transportation, all these kind of things. Also, I think in Suzhou there are some stuff like you can just go to public libraries and borrow books without paying a deposit because your score might be good. But mostly are these kind of things at this point, right? So really, how important are they, or how trivial are they, right? At this point.
And my wife in all this? Does Lulu have enough credit in the eyes of the government? She's a model student anyway. Her counter is up by 5 points. 5 points that she's no doubt earned thanks to her good consumer habits, her civic sense, and her respect for the rules. Shindai does an analysis.
We see here that you can do lots of things. With your current mark, you could stay in these hotels without having to pay a deposit. You can get reductions on travel, and this is very interesting. Visas for Canada, Argentina, and Latvia. This doesn't mean you can just get a visa from the Canadian embassy without supplying certain documents. But as you're at a certain level, there are some documents you won't have to bother with. It doesn't mean a good mark will get you a visa all by itself. Of course it won't. But it can be helpful and will be recognized by some embassies.
For Lulu, it's the promise of travel with less hassle, thanks to the good mark displayed on her app.
So she has a good score?
She does.
Did you know all that?
No, there are things I didn't know.
Not as scary as we thought.
It's not scary at all.
What do you say when a Jewish boy is kicked on a New York City sidewalk?
Two parts to this, because this is an hour-long video.
Not scary at all.
Okay, Lulu doesn't share my fears about this 100% digital world. This society in which no one can hide. Where everything you do is recorded, analyzed, and interpreted.
See?
Where
everything is recorded, analyzed, and interpreted. That's data collection.
Mobile phone can turn you into a good or bad citizen.
See? Smartphone can turn you into a good or bad citizen. Where do you think the next level is at of that? That's the microchip. See? Where everything will be recorded just the same, but the device, you're no longer going to need stuff like Alipay and QR codes, all right, and cell phones, all right. Everything's going to be within you. Like I believe the video, I think we did. Yeah, I think I already did that video. I sure did. Yep, about Elon Musk. He's talking about there's going to be no need for cell phones. What the heck is he talking about? Okay, he's talking about digital devices to be implanted inside of you. See? Excuse me.
It's not sticking properly. But
doesn't it bother you at all that you can be kept under surveillance via your phone? Everything is monitored.
I haven't done anything wrong. So if someone's interested, they can do whatever they want.
And notice her response. That's what I found, because he does this like 2 or 3 times within his video. She gave a response in order to not get flagged, all right? Because obviously she would have been recorded, maybe been flagged, and it might have affected her social credit score. I believe it's some portion where he talks about crossing the street while it's red, all right? They have your face on the screen, okay? And she, yeah. So it's kind of funny, but it's making her do the right thing, and that's control over the citizens. Now, I'm not saying you should just go out there and jump in the traffic, causing a a havoc, whether you walk in a pedestrian or a car or whatever. But it's a whole different thing when they're making you do the right thing, all right? and then certain things where it's not even wrong, but they're saying that because they're in control, they're saying that it's wrong, so it's viewed as wrong, and then it affects you, which affects your social credit score, affects what you can and cannot do in society, man. So it's a very deep system.
Do you like living with that, or would you like to refuse?
Why would I refuse?
See?
Anyway, you can't.
So what if you could?
I wouldn't.
See? Why would I refuse? Any way you can. What if you could? You see? So she's not saying anything that's like, yeah, I hate this system, or I don't like, or if I could change this. She's making sure she gives him the proper response, because she knows that what she's been saying just may be recorded, and it could end up back at her doorstep, affecting her credit score, which is obviously, from the video, from the beginning of the video, we know that it's good. See?
Practical. It makes life much easier. You can't do without it.
See? It's practical. It makes life easier. You can't do without it. So if she was offered a microchip, what do y'all think she's going to do?
The companies behind WeChat and Alipay know everything about you. Are you more afraid of them, or of the state that's tracking you?
I wouldn't say afraid, but sometimes it's a bit worrying. Like, you might make a stupid joke, and if it touches on politics, then you might get someone calling you up to tell you off.
Phone or not, it makes no difference to the way you live?
No, I haven't changed the way I live.
The question really is, are we going to basically dial all back to the day where we don't have smartphones, we don't have video cameras, we don't have whatnot, right? Or maybe this is the way we go. So the equilibrium always changes. And we understand, okay, look, all this information surveillance, they bring us something that we think is good, which, for example, greater safety, greater security, greater efficiency, which actually people would have desired if on the condition that, some other core values we don't lose, or we'll be able to deal with them.
Do the people actually have a choice? Is there an alternative to accepting these new rules for living imposed by the regime? After all, as Lulu says,
it's so practical.
The logic of global surveillance accompanies the changes in Chinese society driven by technological advancements.
And this system has them attached to their cell phones. So the next level is to say, hey, we've made it easier. You don't have to have your cell phone all the time. You just come up and, scan with your hand. Okay, you just walk on a train, or you go here, you purchase that, you go there, so on and so forth. No more QR codes. See? That convenience, all right, or as brothers talk about gradualism, you see, which they're going to market it to them as convenient, because it would be a simple version of this system here, but it's still the same system of control. It's just on a higher level now.
This can be seen with the disappearance of an item which first appeared in China in the 11th century, the banknote. Gradually in Beijing, banknotes, which are by nature anonymous, are being replaced by contactless payment, which is easily traceable by the regime. The irony is that with each note that disappears from circulation, Mao's face is erased a little more from people's everyday lives. It's amazing to think that well into the 2010s, I had to pay cash for everything, and that my foreign credit cards were hardly accepted anywhere.
Alert. Please take care of your cash.
And the life of Chinese people has changed, since they are living life at their fingertips.
Gun owners who don't make these 3 decisions might as well book themselves into prison now. If you're a gun...
has changed, since they are living life at their fingertips.
Today, state television is even selling the society to foreigners.
Go and buy breakfast on the street and pay by
a world in which everything is so much easier, as long as you don't mind the party knowing everything about you.
Purchase your ticket. Why is Thomas from Germany celebrating with so much enthusiasm? Like many foreigners in China, he is enjoying the convenience of a life without cash. So pervasive is the trend that robbers would be hard-pressed to find any cash to steal from in a modern Chinese store. This is a glimpse into the life of most Chinese.
But an even more advanced piece of technology now makes an entrance in our lives.
Check this out.
So, what do you want?
Water's fine.
Just water? Like this?
Yep.
That one or this one?
The top one.
That's a lot more expensive. So, oh, you pay by sharing your face.
Pay by sharing your face.
Yes, payment by the customer's face.
That's similar to your whole digital ID thing, okay? It's a digital form of payment by sharing your face. And she's going to break it down, too.
Done.
So, you've paid for a bottle of water thanks to facial recognition.
See? Facial recognition. Matter of fact, hold on.
Do you know how it recognizes?
This yesterday, but my video got cut. And then when I saw the length of it, I actually thought it was shorter than that, but it was close to an hour, so I just left it at that and decided to come back and do a second part. Lord, will we get through all of it? I mean, as you see, we're here at the 23-minute mark, and the thing is 52.5 minutes long. I mean, if we have to do a third part, it's cool. But yeah, so we're gonna jump back a second here to the beginning of where it left off at the end of the first session there. All right, so, and as we always go into 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, we're not ignorant of his devices. All right, so ignorant means to not know his devices. Well, these are things that we're going to talk about, so let's go.
Today, state television is even selling the society to foreigners.
Go and buy breakfast on the street and pay by
a world in which everything is so much easier, as long as you don't mind the party knowing everything about you.
Purchase your ticket. Why is Thomas from Germany celebrating with so much enthusiasm? Like many foreigners in China, he is enjoying the convenience of a life without cash. So pervasive is the trend that robbers would be hard-pressed to find any cash to steal from in a modern Chinese store. This is a glimpse into the life of most Chinese.
All right, here's where we left off
at. An even
at.
more advanced piece of technology now makes an entrance in our lives.
Hello. So, what do you want?
Water's fine.
Okay.
Just water? Like this?
Yep.
That one or this one?
The top one.
That's a lot more expensive. So, oh, you pay by sharing your face.
Yeah, and that's the facial recognition.
Yes,
as a matter of
payment
fact.
by the customer's face.
this.
Done.
So you've paid for a bottle of water thanks to facial recognition.
Alright, so we're going to pause it right there. Hopefully this will come up quick enough. Not sure if it will or not. Not sure if we'll ever get it at all. I'm going to pull up facial recognition just to pull it up. But she talks about it anyways. Let me see. Let me play. Maybe it'll come up. We're not really talking about it, but...
Do you know how it recognized you? Don't you wonder how you're able to pay with your face?
It asks you here. You can choose to pay with your face or QR code.
How does it recognize your face?
It's recorded. When you subscribe to Alipay, it scans your face.
You see, and then we talked about that in the first session, the Alipay. So basically, over there in China, there's really no life for them without their cell phone, because on their cell phone, there's apps that they log into. Their facial recognition is, they're basically a digital identity, okay? And then, of course, by default, all your accounts are linked and things of that nature. So, and then there's also this thing where they scan QR codes. Everywhere they go to certain establishments, everybody has to scan that QR code, and that QR code basically tracks everything that you're doing while you're there in that establishment, okay? So if you go in, all right, somewhere, and then you try to do something like make a purchase, and I guess the person at the register will realize, oh, you didn't scan the QR code. You need to scan in before you can, do anything. All right. So so everything goes back to your phone because they're collecting your data. So the QR lets, I guess, the phone know, all right, that you're at this certain establishment, and then you have your account linked to it, by way of, whatever app, Alipay or whatever. And then all those things obviously have all your information on it. Okay. So, yeah. So this is what's happening in China. And this is what
it's recorded in the paying system.
What do you think about that? Do you like it? It's freaky, isn't it?
No, it's just funny. It's amusing.
And that's twice. And I find it funny. It's twice, though. Because he asked her basically a question that would... The true response, if she was being honest, which maybe she was being honest, but anyways, trying to ask her a question to get her to make a response that's against the system, because that would affect her credit score and things of that nature. He tried to get her like a few times with that, which that's her husband, by the way, recording. He said he was a journalist and she's something in marketing or whatever. So I guess because he's a journalist, he has the time of the day to just go, and film her throughout her day. All right. And show this whole, network. All right. But yeah, so, he asked her, from time to time, a question like that. And she's not going to give an answer that's against the system or whatever, because that would be basically against the government. And she may actually get, found out and flagged about it, or, questioned, or maybe her credit score drop, because that's their biggest fear, having their credit score drop. They have billboards up that it puts people up, shaming them. And then eventually you lose certain privileges and things of that nature. All right.
Name, address, phone number, movements, purchasing history, and now face.
See?
All the data are compiled, connected, combined.
All the data is compiled, connected, and combined. And so, as I said in the last session, if this is how these people are forced to live now, basically where they can't live without their cell phones, because everything is their cell phone. They're having this facial recognition, digital ID, the Alipay, all these different things. All right, compiled into one. What's the next level to that? Okay, is just to bring them a digital system all the way, full bloom, which is, present them with the CHIP. And of course, if they're already following this system, to a T, it's not going to be hard to introduce, all right, a CHIP to these people, okay, because they already understand they can't live without this and that, all this governance, this surveillance and things of that nature, but yet they're living under the system. They don't really have a choice. So it's going to be easy, all right, to present them to CHIP. And that's why they want this whole same system to be implemented in America. Thing is, with America, they have, more freer thinkers in America, all right? So, because, not everybody's going to go with the system. There's going to be some that are going to want to go against the system and not want it. But that's the whole point of how this works, okay? Because if it's all attached to your credit score system, then you're going to think twice. But before you make a post, okay, go do something stupid on social media. Because, you know, Jay like to play around on Facebook and stuff like that all day and, you know, do nothing. All right. But if you make a post, you know, that they don't deem, you know, I guess worthy as a regular post, especially if it's something against the government or how the system works or whatever being done, you're going to get flagged for it. Okay. And more than likely it'll hurt your credit score.
I'm not sure it is all that amusing. In every face, the party can now see the private life of every Chinese citizen.
Hey, boss, can I get some extra hours? Sorry, man, overtime isn't in the budget. Why don't you hop on Shift Smart?
The life of every Chinese citizen. A mass surveillance tool at the heart of the Chinese government's investments. Over the years, Beijing will gain its technological independence, breaking free of foreign companies in the domains of facial recognition and artificial intelligence. Xi Yinan is vice president of MEGV Technology in Beijing. This Chinese unicorn is a world leader in facial recognition, technology that is sold in particular to the police, allowing them to use surveillance cameras to identify individuals in real time. The complex facial recognition software is presented in this promotional video, shot like a Hollywood trailer.
Mr. Lee, a financial crook on the run since 2016, was spotted by the Sky Eye, and the police were informed. After a quick check, he was soon arrested.
And mind you, now this was just a commercial, right? It was not real. It was a commercial, but they're making it seem as if basically like, hey, this is also what this technology can do. You know, mass surveillance. It's helpful because we call criminals and we took the criminals off the street to keep you people more safe. And so, you know, it gets them thinking like, okay, yeah, this this might be good or whatever. We'll go along with it and so on and so forth, right?
The city's brain. On the one hand, there's private use, and on the other, there's security use controlled by the police. We're already working with 27 provinces in China, improving their security. Our technology has led to the arrest of over 3,000 criminals.
This program, called Smart Eyes, is just one part of a more far-reaching program, a network dubbed Skynet.
Sound familiar? Now, I'm not saying the same thing, but that's the name of what it was in the Terminator movie, Skynet. All right, the whole system, which I forget exactly how everything was, and because it hasn't been a long time since I ain't seen any of those Terminator movies. But I know Skynet was the one that was controlling, you know, like the robots or whatever, building the Terminators, sending them back. What was to the future? No, to the past. I think, yeah, back into the past. Okay, to try to, you know, delete certain people and, you know, so on and so forth to try to change the future. Basically, they were trying to aim for their, you know, AI robotic survival or whatever. And obviously, the human side was the same thing. You know, Sarah Connor and all this kind of stuff. All right, they were trying to fight back against the Terminators, okay, because, you know, the baby she was going to bring was going to change history and save mankind, all this kind of stuff like that. But it just mentioned Skynet, though.
It's a nod to
just like in iRobot, you had Vicky, okay, and probably any other movie, you know, that you can think of, because Esau is good for putting things in his movies. Not saying it's going to be an exact thing, but a lot of times, you know, it could be just some crazy sci-fi movie, but he has certain technology that he's actually trying to create, which could be put in a movie, and you think it's just a movie or whatever, but he's actually trying to build this thing.
System of artificial intelligence which takes control of the planet in the film Terminator.
See, he's just looking there, yeah.
The aim is to be able to identify anyone, anywhere, thanks to hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras.
Identify anyone, anywhere. So it doesn't matter where you are. They'll be able to find you, hone in on you, and identify you. So that's basically, well, like when we lean towards, you know, Esau more so, because this is, you know, just a system, a social credit score system in China. But along with the social credit scoring system comes what? Mass surveillance. So they want to take both of those things and implement them in Babylon the Great underneath the CHIP system. All right, I always mention that. You take the CHIP, you take the UBI, you take, you know, things like 15-minute cities, social credit scoring system, the mass surveillance, Palantir, all those different things, and you wrap them up into one, and Esau has his perfect system of control. Okay, and as it says in, I believe that's one of Isaiah 14. Actually, I probably should have.
Thanks to hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras.
Just in case we lose that. Let me see here. If we be able to pull it up. Because I know it's been moving kind of slow. But yeah, like it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, okay? That he wants to be the Most High and sit in the seat of the Most High. As a matter of fact, we'll get Isaiah since we mentioned it, though. Isaiah 14, we don't often read that one. It's the same thing in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. It's pretty much the same thing. Esau boasting himself. Esau boasting himself in his technology and things of that nature. Like it says in is it Isaiah 47? I think it's 47. Where it says, stand now with thine enchantments, which you had labored from thy youth. Okay? And that's just what he does. He communes with the left-hand side, you know, all this witchcraft and sorcery, okay, because he's a wizard. All right? And then you put this technology together with his wizardry and his spells and stuff like that. Okay, it makes him a dangerous man, but, you know, not more dangerous. Okay, not so dangerous that the Lord can't deal with him. Obviously not. I think I was looking for, right here. Well, Isaiah 14:13, for thou hast said in thine heart, the heart being the mind, I will ascend into heaven. All right, so you got all these different, so you got the 5G system, probably got a 6. You got, what's that called? Starlink. You got their satellites. You got things like Palantir. Okay. And so, you know, and that's what he does. All right. He exalts himself in his technology and his sorcery. Okay. It says, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Okay. It says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And he has done just that. Okay. He's going up into the inner space, because he can't go in the outer reaches of space, inner space. And then also he exalts himself over the children of Israel, knowing that everything's about their birthright. That's that perpetual hatred. Amos 1, Obadiah 1, okay? He kept his anger forever, and it tore perpetually toward his brother Jacob. And that's what he said in Genesis, 27 chapter? The days of my mourning my father at hand, and then when I slay my brother Jacob, okay? And he kept that anger perpetually to this very day, because it goes back to that birthright. I will send above the heights of the clouds. You see, I will be like the Most High. But it says, you know, well, let me get that real quick. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. All right. But also I was about to mention Obadiah. All right. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock whose habitation is high, who said in his heart, who shall bring me down? Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to be one to bring this man down. That's why we need Yahweh Shai, because we can't, in which we're not, you know, supposed to be carnal anyways. It says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. All right. You know, we have to wait upon the Lord to the day that he rises up to the prey. So we need Yahweh Shai to return and deal with this man and these heathens and, you know, our current situation, deliver us. All right. Because that was given, that power was given to his hand as a blessing. He should live by the sword. Okay. He should have the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above. He was given that great sword to take peace from the earth. And this is his particular rulership. He was given that by way of prophecy. All right, the season of Idumea. All right, so we need Yahweh Shai. Let's get back to Moab.
We can now also collate lots of elements about the vehicles like we can about the people, including particular characteristics. The make of car, the people's hairstyles, their clothes, whether they're on a bike, whether they're carrying a bag. All these details can be recorded. And this lets us analyze everything going on in the city from day to day. For example, in this street, we can find out what sorts of cars there are, the busy times, whether there's a traffic jam or an accident, what kind of people walk down this street. So, if we need to know what happened at a particular time and who was present, it's really easy. It's what we call the urban sky eye.
And of course, you see everything written in Chinese, but I'm pretty sure we can read that in English. It's probably mentioning maybe the age, sex, whether it's a male or female, which that probably wouldn't be hard to tell, but male or female, maybe even like because they have their whole identity. Whatever there's some information. Obviously, there's some kind of information posted into those rectangle boxes next to the people. Okay, so whatever it is, we really don't know. But obviously, it's useful information to them, obviously. But some kind of useful information to identify that person. Like if there was a crime taking place, okay, they run it back. This useful box of information comes up, and they got the time, they got the person, then they can pretty much somehow eventually identify them and then go and find them.
Data and technology which also enable them to predict and anticipate the behavior of individuals in the public space.
See? Prediction, right? That precognition type stuff, okay? Predicting behaviors of a person in public. So just assuming that someone's about to do something, then I guess somehow they interact, which is really not an immediate response. I mean, they may call the local police or whatever, but it's still going to take time to get there, because if they assume a person's about to do a crime, well, the cops still have to show up. All right. I mean, what are the chances that they're right there in the vicinity? But you get the point why we're mentioning.
And all that thanks to big data and artificial intelligence.
Thanks to big data and artificial intelligence.
Would you rather work remote or in office? Your friend works in office. He wakes up at 6 a.m., gets dressed, grabs 2 cups of coffee.
Intelligence. It's estimated that Chinese research into artificial intelligence is about 2 decades ahead of its direct rivals. I head to Tsinghua University to meet Professor Su Guangda, one of the scientists who's contributed the most to the development of this technology since the early 2000s.
The Chinese government was the first to use facial recognition during the Beijing Olympics in 2008. It was the first time in the world that it was used during an Olympic Games. Thereafter, the World Expo and other events requiring heightened security were able to use facial recognition. This was only possible because of major financing by the state. This improves.
And real quick, just thought about it because we mentioned, the cell phone. Their life is basically based on the cell phone and the app and everything, the QR codes and all these different things. And then you have Elon Musk over here talking about the future, where there's going to be pretty much no phones. All right, this is what they're claiming, and they're going to be no phones. Okay, so I mean, we know what the ultimate idea is. All right, everything leading up to the CHIP.
The level of public safety, so that the people can live in a more harmonious, safer society. And it's why they should support facial recognition. It has many advantages. There are companies with data about more than 100 million individuals. The reason facial recognition is a success is because the amount of data is immense.
And the amount of data should increase further with advancements in facial recognition.
Apparently, it's also possible now to identify people by the way they move.
Yes, there's research underway into people's gait or other movements, into iris recognition as well. But for now, recognition by movement is still at a low level and is not ready for actual use yet. But all this technology is very useful for making cities safer places, for making China safer.
Recognizing people, predicting their movements, checking and observing their daily routine. Surveillance has always been the raison d'etre of the party state. From 1949 and the birth of the People's Republic of China, Beijing had eyes everywhere. Political commissars and neighborhood committees were the eyes and ears of public security in the heart of the people. It was a net cast over a population that didn't travel, a walled-in country cut off from foreigners. But Chinese society changed and started moving around. From town to town, region to region, country to country. Here too, the party has a solution for maintaining effective surveillance.
Bonjour.
Today we're off to Shanghai for the weekend, 1,300 kilometers from Beijing. Lulu made the booking using Alipay, one of the apps on her smartphone. 757, is that your number of points? My wife is a good customer with a top mark. Her credit is high enough to ensure that her booking went through.
And so, everything's centered around their credit score, okay? What you just saw hers in the app, 757. And it's a constant checking, all right? Because people are constantly looking at the credit score because they want to know, all right, am I in good standings, or, did I lose some points? Did this happen or that happen, right? Did I do something right? Did I do something wrong? Somebody complained about me, whatever. So they're constantly checking their credit score, okay? Excuse me.
We head for the main station in southern Beijing, one of 3 that serve the capital. Taking public transport in China, could anything be easier? But when my wife reserved her train ticket, the app didn't only check her bank account. Alipay went a lot deeper.
The app checked her bank account.
All the details of Lulu's private and social life are digitized on her phone, just as they are.
There you go. All her social life that are privatized are digitized on her phone. So it checks your bank account, and it checks everything that's personal about you. And as we always mention, who do you think has access to this? Like, who created this? It's like, because we from time to time talk about the blockchain technology. So, and I know we talk about it all the time with the blockchain. Okay, you have 2 people that make a transaction between, person A and person B. Okay, so person A sends person B money, and so that transaction is recorded, and that's what's called the block. Okay, maybe next week person A lets person B get more money, so a new block is created, and those blocks are chained together because they made that first transaction, and they made another transaction. Then maybe a month from now, person B pays person A back from the previous times, so there's another block that's created, and it's linked to that chain, a block chain. And so those 2 people, person A, person B, are the only ones that have access to that block, supposedly. Because that's why I always mention, well, who makes the technology? Because they say it blocks out everybody else. Oh, okay, so yeah, so it blocks out, maybe even blocks out spies and hackers and stuff like that, and other regular people with accounts and things of that nature. But what about the company that issued the technology? Okay, you don't think that links back to Esau? So just like this thing here, checking her bank account and all her personal and private life and all her, personal, private, and social information. Who do you think's monitoring that? That local government. See?
For all her compatriots. There, a couple of scans and it's all done. You scan your face to get into the station.
And real quick, and because just to also kind of fully explain, because you have person A and person B, they made 3 blocks, and these blocks are chained together, and they're the only ones that have receipts. A receipt is in person A's account, and a receipt of those blocks are in person B's account. So they each should have 3 receipts of those transactions, regardless of who sent who. Okay, and so if person B has another friend who we'll say is person C, okay, and person B sends money to person C. Now person B and person C could created a block together. That block is not chained to person A and person B's block of those 3 transactions. That's transaction number 1 between person B and person C. So now they have their own separate blocks that are chained together that is locking everybody out. Of course, not because they're not telling you that, but of course, not to the ones that actually are issuing the system. So understanding how the blockchain works, every block that's created is basically a receipt between the 2 parties. Okay, if there's 3 parties involved, each party has a transaction by way of that 1 block. Okay, no one else.
Then again to gain access to the train. All done. The app cross-referenced a much wider spread of data and authorized her to buy a ticket and therefore to travel.
So the app authorized her, basically cleared her because her credit score was well enough to be cleared to access trains, hotels, flights. Okay, I think there's a portion here I don't think we passed it up yet where it was talking about making passports easier to be obtained. Okay, certain documents that you'll be able to bypass. Okay, where if your credit score was too low, not too low that you can't get it at all, but it's so low that there's a bunch of other steps and documents and things you have to go through, which is just more headache. And that's part of them marketing things to you as if it's convenience. It makes your life more simple. Okay, but really what it's doing is walking people through a field of roses to, a ball and chain around their ankle. All right. Mass surveillance.
If you become placed onto a judicial blacklist for being delinquent on, payment to, to the winning party of your lawsuit, and then this blacklist, so it will mostly it will be publicized on court website, and then also this blacklist will also be sent to the railway authority and also to the airport authorities. So they do have your information over there, and then when you want to buy a ticket, of course, when you buy a ticket, you need to provide your ID number, right? And then that's where they got you there.
Yeah, my net's acting janky right now. I'm gonna try and escape on the face recognition.
On the train, Lulu tops up her credit by spending money with her app.
There we go. Hold on.
The QR code again.
Yeah, and watch how many steps she has to go through. You bear with me a second, though. Yeah, because I don't know how I was offline. Probably my net. Anyways, facial recognition is the type of biometric technology that identifies or verifies an individual by analyzing their unique facial features from a digital image or a video stream. All right, let me read it again. Facial recognition is a type of biometric technology that identifies or verifies an individual by analyzing their unique facial features. Your face, everybody's face is different. All right, even twins. All right, where you can't identify, they have some kind of difference there. Okay, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to tell them apart. It says from a digital image or a video stream. It is a method of personal identification that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to create a unique mathematical representation of a person's face. You see, it says to create a unique. It says it uses artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. All right, so learning by data collection and growing, to create a unique mathematical representation of a person's face, known as a face print. See, facial recognition typically involves a multi-step process. Detection: a camera or sensor detects and locates a face or multiple faces within an image or video. Analysis: the software analyzes the detected face to identify key features or nodal points, which are endpoints used to measure variables such as the distance between the eyes, the depth of the eye sockets, the shape of the cheekbones, and the contour of the jawline. Basically, your individual face. Okay. Data conversion. These measurements, there you go, right there. Data conversion, taking that stuff that they're learning and converting it into data that they can collect and analyze on a computer system. These measurements are converted into a unique numerical code or mathematical formula called a face print. Matching. The face print is then compared to a database of known faces. You see, if the system finds a match within a certain confidence score, the individual's identity is confirmed or identified. You see, and that's the process that it goes through to identify who every individual is. Or maybe when you're trying to purchase something, a ticket, train ticket, whatever. Okay. Key uses. Facial recognition is used in a variety of applications across different industries. Security and law enforcement, identifying suspects in criminal investigations, like the commercial they showed us, screening individuals in crowds, like we just watched that portion of the clip, and finding missing persons. And they didn't talk about that though. Yeah, with all this mass surveillance, right? They could find Jake, underground in a warehouse, hiding out from his from a drug bust, but they can't find kidnapped children. Anyways, access control, unlocking personal devices like smartphones, entering, and we know it's because, you get into that. Unlocking personal devices like smartphones, entering secure buildings or accessing sensitive digital information. Travel, automating check-in and border control processes at airports, allowing travelers to use their face instead of physical documents. Yep. And they're trying to move into that. Banking and retail, authenticating online banking transactions, preventing fraud, and identifying known shoplifters. Healthcare, streamlining patient registration and controlling access to private patient records. Now, this is another thing that I almost forgot. Judicial blacklisting. Okay, but that's what the guy was just talking about. I'm going to pull it up on the screen anyways while we can. So, a judicial blacklist is not a formal, defined legal term in most Western legal systems, including the U.S. It says, instead, it is an informal or colloquial phrase that generally refers to a list of individuals, entities, or in some specific context, judges themselves, who are subject to some form of official or unofficial sanction, exclusion, or special scrutiny. The meaning can vary depending on the context in which it is used. All right, in the context of individuals and entities, more commonly, blacklisting refers to lists, often government maintained, that restrict individuals or organizations from certain privileges or opportunities without a formal judicial process. An example, extrajudicial administrative processes. Individuals placed on such lists may have their movements restricted. Example given, a no-fly list, or be barred from engaging in business with U.S. entities due to perceived misconduct, national security concerns, or foreign policy interests. Being placed on these lists can have severe consequences, and the lack of an opportunity to know the evidence or appeal the listing has been a subject of legal challenges regarding due process. All right. I'm probably not going to read that. But it says key takeaways. In formal term, judicial blacklist is not a standard legal phrase. Lack of due process. The key issue with blacklist, especially in a governmental context, is often the lack of formal notification or an opportunity for the listed party to challenge the accusations or their inclusion on the list. Violation of judicial independence. When the term is used in reference to judges themselves, it implies an external attempt to influence judicial decisions, which is a significant ethical and legal concern. All right, so that was a lot there. But let's go back to the video. He'll explain more. Oh yeah, I forgot.
And more.
Check this out.
The QR code again. And more facial recognition.
Might look awful.
And that's a constant thing, all right? You gotta do
and yet like again, over and over. Lots of data transmitted to Alipay's servers.
See? The data's been sent to Alipay's servers, and they can collect it, analyze it. All right, make sure you are you, monitor you, surveil you, identify you, whatever else.
Care of her credit.
And obviously, they know all your bank account, your credit score, what you purchased, where you purchased it from, All right, probably even know how long you spent at that particular location, that store, or whatever the case may be.
Remains a good citizen. Her biggest fear is dropping below the threshold of 350 points and joining the list of second-class citizens.
So joining the list, in which that's a long drop there, 350. But before you even get to 350, there's a lot of things that become more difficult for you to do, or things that may start to be restricted from you. But once you drop below 350, they consider you a second-class citizen, and which I don't think they would go too far into that in this video. But I mean, I guess we can all kind of imagine what that means. You know, a lot of things are restricted from you. It's probably harder to even, you know, once you down that low, it's probably hard to even build that credit score back up. All right, because I don't think the points come out in chunks. They come out little bit by little bit, so it's hard to build that back up. So she's afraid of becoming a so-called second-class citizen. So she is willing to do whatever the system says to do in order to stay as a, I guess, so-called a first-class citizen. Okay, and so easily she would definitely take the C hill. All right, because she's so afraid of, you know, just losing, you know, pretty much the, you know, the credit score or whatever. All right, or dropping it, whatever.
What do you say when a Jewish boy is kicked on a New York City sidewalk?
Oh boy.
Joining the list of second-class citizens. Once we get to the hotel, it all starts again. We were able to reserve a room in this hotel in Shanghai thanks to Lulu's good mark.
Notice she's doing facial recognition again to book a room, to clear for a room.
A bad credit rating and ending up on the blacklist would have put an establishment like this out of reach for us.
Right, so let's say they're all high-class establishments. You're blacklisted or whatever, and you, I don't know, maybe your job calls you to travel to this particular area, your location, city, or whatever, and you need a room. Guess what? You're not going to get that room because your credit score is not well enough. All right, and those are minor things, but to some people they take those, you know, things more heavy. But yeah, so you're not going to be able to get a room for the night. So where are you going to sleep at? Probably on some bench somewhere, which then police might come by and say, hey, you can't do this. Maybe, you know, lock you up. If they don't just tell you to leave, they probably might lock you up. Who knows? All right. So, you know, it's just a whole chain reaction of things. But it's basically, you know, putting fear into people about, you know, going in the system and you know, falling out of line with that very same system. OK, and it's all put together in what they call the social credit scoring system, where you monitor very closely.
The blacklist is at the very heart of this social credit program. It's the ultimate algorithm, ready to be deployed at any moment by the Chinese Party state, creating a system in which virtuous behavior is encouraged and rewarded. For those who cross the line, the sanction is immediate and their mark is downgraded. And maybe this is the party's greatest victory, improving people's behavior without having to wield the stick.
See? Improving people's behavior without having to wield the stick, basically without having to force them. Okay, just, you know, make them do what you want them to do without actually having to force them to do it. Okay, and so they basically herding people like sheep, all right, like cattle, all right, into a particular avenue, all right, in a certain way, okay, which is based on what the government deems worthy or non-worthy.
The laws to say, look, you know, the social credit system is to, you know, improve market efficiency, to enhance regulation, but also to promote good.
See, that's part of them trying to make things convenient, all right, improve the market and all these different things in the nature. It says hence, I can't see it because the numbers anyway, something, but also to promote
values. But then, you know, the question is always, you know, is so for the third component, how do we do that? No, I mean, honestly, you can't use these kind of things. I mean, they may, right? Sociologically, you can say, look, you know, as people care more about what they have said, what they have promised, then maybe eventually through keeping promises, they become more honest whatsoever.
More honest, and above all, more respectful of the rules. And it starts with crossing the road properly. Those who infringe these ideals of the harmonious society can no longer hide.
Yeah, because they put up in that big screen.
That's scary. Just then they flashed up the photo of a guy and a girl on the big screen. It's scary, isn't it?
Then what happens? They get a fine?
No, but imagine if you do it all the time. Your face will get shown all over the place. Maybe it'll affect your points.
You see your face up there in the middle of the street. It's weird.
You shouldn't cross when the light's red.
Most people wait for green.
And so that's part of, which, okay, yeah, there's a certain safety to that. But at the same time, they're taking those things and utilizing it for their whole system of control. All right. You know, don't cross when it's red. If you cross when it's red, we'll shame you. Okay. If you do it enough times, then, you know, something may affect your regular life, like your credit score, you know, points may drop, or, you know, things of that nature. So they're attaching everything to the social credit score system, which is what they just got through talking about. Basically controlling the people, making the people do what they say is right without actually having to force them to do it. Okay. They're just, and really they're living in a subconscious fear. Okay. Because she's definitely terrified. All right. But it's not open terror. Okay. She's afraid of becoming a second class with a score like 7, whatever it was, 7+. Okay. That lowest threshold is 350. Anything below that, 350 and below. She's not even close to a lower level, but she's so afraid, all right, that she's going to do everything that's right. You see? So that's basically what they've set up here.
Yes.
They follow the rules.
Or your photo gets flashed up. You get shamed.
Should we try to cross on red just to see?
No, I'm not doing that. Only foreigners do that. But even the foreigners are behaving properly. Can you see?
I could go and see my photo up there. That'd be cool.
Go on if you want. Not me.
What would happen?
Your photo would be on the big screen. That would be awful for you.
So she's laughing it off, but you know, she really is just she's basically a slave to this whole social credit scoring system. Okay, and the guy was trying to get her to go and do it. All right, something against her credit score.
Are enforced.
They don't explain if you get points taken away, or for the moment it's just your face being flashed up?
Yes, it's just that. It's a shame.
The shame. To monitor the public space permanently and effectively, one particular piece of kit is needed. The surveillance camera. They've been proliferating all over China since the early 2000s. In apartment blocks, offices, shops. They're everywhere. Of the world's 20 cities with the most surveillance cameras, 18 are Chinese. Chongqing, with a population of 31 million, has one camera for every 6 people. Shanghai, 26 million, has one for every 9. In comparison, this is over 10 times more than in the most equipped European cities.
There's basically mass surveillance.
Society under a surveillance that is practically impossible to escape.
Yeah, see?
Chinese Big Brother's eyes are everywhere.
And remember now, because all this goes back to their system. They're collecting data on you, so they'll know who you are. You know, somebody got mugged, they can find the guy that mugged the old lady or whatever, because they can get the time, the street, you know, information on that person, who's this, who's that, identify everybody, you know, eventually lead back to their digital identity and back to this guy's apartment or whatever. Okay, and then the police show up and get him, all right? Now, that's just a whole, you know, scenario, but it's just, you know, you get my point.
In the public space, Lulu can't escape the dictatorship of her social credit mark. Anonymity is disappearing from Chinese society. Even the most private matters affect your social credit. Could Lulu's mark be affected by her diet? This could be next. A healthy citizen.
Yeah, I wanna let me see. Hold on. Yeah. Alright, dictator. There you go, ship. Hopefully it'll come up fast enough. Check my ticker. Alright, cool. I don't think it searched it. Let me see. There you go. Let's try it again. All right, a dictatorship is a form of government in which absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group with few or no constitutional limitations. The ruling authority in a dictatorship maintains power through force, suppression of political opposition, and control over public life rather than through the consent of the governed. And that's basically what Esau is doing with his New World Order system. All right. He's trying to become a world dictator. All right. Through his CHIP and his digital banking system and all those different things. OK, where it says a form of government in which absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group. Now, you know, these top Edomites are not a single leader. It's a small group. That's the 1% with few or no constitutional limitations. And they're basically trying to bring it to where you have no, you know, constitutional rights and things of that nature. You're not even able to speak up because they'll come and they're going to see you. All right. They may turn, you know, off that person's chip, or if they don't have it, then whatever. I don't know. You get the point, though, about completely controlling the people. Key characteristics: concentration of power. A single individual, a dictator, or a small group such as a military junta or single political party holds all political power. Absence of checks and balances. This is how you have the whole government set up now, through checks and balances. So one, area of government doesn't have more power than another one, right? It'll get checked by another area of government, and everything balances out. Okay, versus what you had like in ancient Rome, where some of these Caesars would just be, dictators. They would just be rulers for a long period of time, and no one had any say-so over them. They were the central control of power. And that's what they're trying to bring it back to, the ancient Roman style, okay, that some of those leaders had back then, where it's just them with complete power and control, and you're not able to do anything about it. And if you do speak out about it, we're able to punish you, and no one else can do anything about it, nor you. Which at some point, they're probably going to try to just start putting people to death, right? Put them under the guillotine. Draconian measures, limited civil liberties, fundamental freedoms such as free speech, a free press, and freedom of religion are often severely restricted or denied. And they ultimately want everybody to worship them. Control of information. The state typically controls the media and uses mass propaganda to shape public perception. Well, they already ahead on that because they already own the television stations and the media networks and things of that nature. Promote a cult of personality around the leader and suppress dissenting voices. Basically, those speaking out about the system or what's going on, maybe even speaking truth, which that'll speak towards more than anyone the prophets, man. Ruled by force and fear. Dictatorships maintain stability through coercion, intimidation, surveillance, and violence against opponents. Opposition parties are often banned. Manipulated elections. Elections may be held to create a facade of legitimacy, but they are generally not free or competitive, and outcomes are often manipulated. Types of dictatorships: personalist dictatorships, military dictatorships, one-party dictatorships, and totalitarian regimes. Let's see what these say. One party. A single political party dominates the government in all levels of society, and other parties are often outlawed or have no real influence. Totalitarian regimes, an extreme form of dictatorship where the state attempts to control every aspect of public and private life, including the economy, education, and the personal beliefs of its citizens. Example given: Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, or Understar. All right, so getting back over here to this. Oh yeah, because he was talking about so-called eating as a healthy citizen, and she was saying that it's not a part of affecting the credit score yet, but it could become a part, and that's true. Okay, because guiding, not maintaining, but controlling what you eat and what you don't eat, or if you're eating too much of something, even though it's something that they say, okay, this is good for you to eat, but you may be eating too much of it. All right. Or this is good for you to eat, but you're not eating enough of it. Okay, so do this, do that. Okay, so this is all that whole system of control and them treating people as cattle.
In a healthy body.
Facial recognition again.
Are you paying or checking how you look?
Les deux. Both.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
Something healthy.
What?
Tea.
So how did she purchase?
In a healthy body.
Maybe she paid online. Maybe she check this out, whatever. But look, there's a QR code on the window.
Checking how you look.
Les deux. Both.
Well, that's
So
handy.
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
Something healthy.
What?
Tea.
Tea. Imagine if that affected your points.
Then I earn more because I only drink tea.
Do you think you can earn points by drinking tea and lose them by drinking alcohol? I mean, if you had a beer instead?
I think that might happen one day. If you have a burger and chips, maybe they won't take away any points, but it could be noted. You're in.
See? Maybe they won't take away points, but it could be noted. And then you're eating too many burgers and chips, they're going to tell you to, cut that out, slow down a little bit. But if you keep doing it, it may start affecting your credit score, dropping your points, taking your points away a little bit by a little bit. All right, until you go and grab, some tea or something like that, that they say, oh, this is healthy for you, it's good, you need some more of this. All right, so they're controlling everything about you. All right, and she said that, I believe it was in the first session though. She said all this stuff, it gives you the feeling of being treated like a little child. Okay.
Bad shape, so you should drink some.
But more so is more like cattle. But that's just her word, though.
Ever had something totally messed up happen in a rideshare and thought, guess there's nothing I can do? I used to feel the same.
What do you want?
Salad. Some veggies. If your credit depended on what you ate, it'd be a good thing. It would make you eat more healthily.
But sometimes you need to treat yourself. You can't live on that alone.
Basically saying that's good, but every now and then I might want a bowl of ice cream or something. All right, so.
If you only eat that every day, if that's all you eat day after day, it's the life of a prisoner, like being in prison. They bring you your tray, and you have no choice.
And see, she's able to say that now because the credit score is not affecting, food items, things that she purchased. But if the credit score was, affecting what they ate, she wouldn't have said that. All right, and we know that because there's been almost like 3 examples of that earlier, between this session and the first one. All right, so she made sure she said the right thing. All right, that wasn't against the system. All right.
If you don't eat it, then you starve. We're human beings, after all.
Lulu hasn't totally given in to letting her existence, her desires and aspirations be conditioned by these strictures. However, while not quite everything is affected yet, social credit is seeping into people's minds like a new software in the brain. Where are we going?
The bookshop.
Xi Jinping's book?
First, second, and third.
The Thoughts of Xi Jinping?
Yes.
How many points would buying the 3 tomes of the Chinese president's political vision or a recent hagiography of him add to my wife's social credit?
That's Mao.
Buying an anthology of Mao's poems or an authorized biography of Deng Xiaoping? It's the political section right at the entrance.
Marx.
Would buying them help Lulu reach the holy grail of the 950 points of the model citizen? Just think you could get some points by buying Xi Jinping's book.
No, I'm already good enough.
And you don't read forbidden books?
I don't know what books are forbidden.
You're very good.
No, I'm not. I'm just normal.
Yeah, see, he said that because, like we just mentioned, all right, multiple times he tried to get her to do something against the whole little system there. All right, so you're very good. All right, basically you just you're A-class citizen or whatever the case may be. She's like, no, I'm just normal. Okay. She's
a modern society entirely regulated by norms. Your points, your social credit. But there are some Chinese who reject the idea of their private life being out in the open. We have an appointment in the northern suburbs of Beijing. Deng Yufeng is a militant artist. His fight is to protect personal data, denouncing big data's grip on private lives. I don't know what his social credit is like, but his stance must have given him a bad score, maybe even put him in the red. These yellow leaflets were his latest piece of performance art.
So what are these leaflets all about?
My immortal life. They represent all my secrets as a human being. But the secrets are made public and printed on this document. It's a sort of curriculum vitae. The CV has some basic information, even my password for the bank, for my WeChat account, and other things like that. And then some even more private details, secrets.
So he's basically purposefully putting his own personal information out there. I guess as a kind of reflection of a stance on saying this is what the system is like. Well, we have no private life. We have no, I guess it's, privacy, right? No social private life or whatever the case may be. All right, you get my point.
On the 18th of March 2021, Deng Yufeng went out with 3 volunteers and a bunch of Western journalists. They handed out to passers-by his immortality leaflets in the streets of Beijing's 798 neighborhood, where several artists' studios are located. In China, denouncing the assault on the private domain by the digital grim reaper of the tech giants is a risky business. Deng Yufeng's yellow leaflets got him taken straight to the police station. And no doubt did yet further damage to his social credit.
There were security agents or something like that watching me. They must have called the police. I was locked up for 24 hours.
The artist was already getting himself noticed in October 2020. He did an experiment to show the people of Beijing what it takes to escape surveillance. He worked out a route for walking down a certain street while not being captured by a single camera. He spent 2 months measuring the street, photographing it from every angle, and checking its 90 cameras, not only their positions, but also their fields of vision.
then squeezed his arms tighter around Aaron's waist.
Look how long the street is. The cameras can pick you up everywhere. He did all this. It's the work of a real engineer.
On the day itself, he and a group of volunteers walked slowly in single file up the street, crouching with heads bowed. They stepped off the pavement, crept along walls, hid behind advertisement hoardings. In all, they took 2 hours to cover little more than a kilometer.
This speaks to me about the way the state governs. It's all about the way the state has decided to act. And I chose a powerful way to address this. I wanted people to remember, because in this country, the people, including you and me, have no understanding of the law. We don't know what our rights are.
See, in a world where she were established, this dude was against the system, he wouldn't be able to do all that. He'd be too hungry. He'd be, out of a business or whatever the case may be. Either that or he'd take the C-hip and end up turning it off.
We're not aware of the legal aspects of confidentiality. So these are effective means of raising people's awareness and maybe getting some results.
But Deng's battle seems to be lost in advance. Beijing controls the tech giants, and its right to inspect and use their data has never been challenged. Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu are the party's pets. Behemoths without which the Chinese government could never have set up such a surveillance system. But in China, what the state demands, the state gets. And there's no one to check up on the party. Back to my wife and her social credit. How does she imagine the world 20 years from now? Here we are, leaving our Beijing apartment one morning, watched as always by the surveillance cameras. By the way, that one wasn't there last night.
Seeing all the cameras made me think about this one game. It's called Watch Dogs. I think the dude would go around, I forget exactly what the whole point of the game was about. But basically he would actually hack, different cameras to do stuff, surveil certain areas and all these different things. All right. So yeah. Made me think about that.
This is the last stage of the journey I began with Lulu a year ago. What is my Chinese wife's opinion of this society?
So they basically been recording for a whole year, supposedly. I guess that's what he just said anyways. And this video was like, 4 weeks ago? A month ago?
A life of staying in credit. A life for which she is an ideal customer.
Can we totally control all this new technology and use it for good? Are we strong enough to control all this software and new technology? I don't know. It makes you think. Everything you do, everything you say, first of all you think, is that allowed or not? What will it do to my points?
See?
Will they take some away? Will they punish me in some way? So we're all putting ourselves in a box. They're eating away at our brains. You could say it's turning us into robots. The children being born today will be adults in 20 years. What will they be like?
Comment il peut être les gens qui sont nés aujourd'hui? Ils vont avoir
There'll be half robots inside, but they'll still look like human beings.
avec le look de l'humain.
So, what I suggest, Lulu, is that we do this again in 20 years and see if it's turned out the way you think it will. I hope not.
Will you still be able to hold the camera?
But history already seems to have been written. To live in this new type of society, my wife won't have long to wait. Beijing has its finger on the button, ready to launch its social credit and harmonious society program into orbit. Lulu won't be looking away from the score on her mobile phone anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's pretty much in that little documentary there. It's a pretty good little documentary. This basically husband and wife team, where the husband was a journalist, and so he was basically recording her daily life, right? As she went about, pretty much following what a day of her life is like under the social credit scoring system, and everything's based off of just that alone, the social credit score system. And then you have a bunch of sub levels like the pay apps, the QR codes, the mass surveillance, all right, and watching what you do in society to a certain extent, watching what you say, as it just talked about at the end, and things of that nature. Not so far as watching what you eat, but they're going to try to control that eventually, all right? Speaking about Babylon now, because they said you're going to own nothing, you'll be happy, you eat the bugs and be happy and stuff like that. So what China has as a social credit score system, they want to bring to Babylon and just sort of amplify that. All right, bring along the CHIP, amplify that system, bring along, also because surveillance was a part of it, cameras and stuff like that, Palantir, all these different systems, precognition. Like, this is them pretty much trying to sit in the seat of the Most High and play God, all right, like they've been wanting to do. And it's all through their witchcraft, their sorcery, their magic, and of course their AI technology, all right? But it says that knowledge shall increase in these days. Scripture speak about how Esau accomplishes a diligent search and all these different things. Because in his inward, let me end with that one, inward scripture there. It says in his inward thoughts that his house shall continue forever. If I can get it, okay. All right, Psalms 49:11. All right, it says, for he seeth, Psalms 49:10, for he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. And they've been doing that for a long time now, leaving the rest of their substance to their babes. Said in a couple of chapters, leave Job 21, Psalm 73, it says similar things to that. Okay. Well, yeah, they spend their days in wealth. That goes back to they're pretty much part of their blessing, man. They will have the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above. And they shall live by the sword. Okay, but their time is almost up. But before that time was up, the Lord's going to allow them to usher in that whole system. It says their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. Because they know that they're going to be slaves in the kingdom. The bankers, anyways. All right, they know what the end game is for their people, the Edomites. All right. Which really all the nations, but just speaking on Esau, okay, they know the end game is for them to have to serve 1,000 years of captivity and then, be exterminated, okay? So they think that through their sorcery and magic and, all their planning and, things, their vain things they imagine. People imagine a vain thing, all right, that they're going to somehow defeat Yahweh Shah and just turn a blind eye to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and establish their new world order and just live on forever, after the missiles and, continue forwarding their whole, agenda in their society. So in their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, which they've done, right? stealing lands, rape, robbing, pillaging, changing names. All right, you got this mine, Washington mine, Lincoln Memorial. All right, these things are named after them. Street names are named after them. Companies, you know, all kinds of, you know, everything's after Esau. All right, countries are named after them. Africa, okay, America, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. Because ultimately, the Lord, let's get that. That's the last scripture. We'll get that. And I know that's talking about China. We just kind of transitioned to talking about Esau because he's the main culprit here. Job 14 and 5. Seeing that his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. All right, so you know the Lord says that his hands will not be able to perform his enterprise. He's going to have a certain extension of his reach, but that's all according to prophecy. All right, but ultimately the Lord is going to stop him in his tracks and take him out of power. And you know, all this social credit scoring system, UBI, I mentioned that. All these different things that they're putting into a little, one little ball to present, in the earth. All right, it's going to be disrupted because the end game is for the Lord to deliver up the remnant of the nation of Israel, destroy Babylon the Great, take all these nations out of power, especially Esau, Edom, and establish the kingdom of heaven. And most importantly, exalt his holy name, Yahweh Shalom Shah. So that's the end of the AI chat there. So Lord willing, you will edify. Till next time, I'm going to say Shalom.